Hey, I'm Karen.
Hi, Karen. I'm Larissa.
Welcome. Come on in, make yourself comfortable. So what brings you in today?
Well, as you can see, I'm representing the team. I'm a basketball player. I recently had a concussion.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it really sucked, but right now I'm trying to I just got cleared, so I can go back to school, but there's a million assignments I missed out on because it happened in September. It's now November. I'm terrified I'm not going to finish my first semester of school. And on top of it all, I have my coach kind of reaming on me because he wants me back in shape and he wants me to be able to have playing time. He has a lot of big expectations from me, and I'm feeling a lot of pressure because I've always been the person that I've never had an injury like this before.
Right. So there's a lot of demands coming in lots of different directions.
Absolutely, and it's just like, and I've met with someone to help me do all the academic crap, but it's really hard for someone to tell you to take one thing at a time. Like, I've always been a really, really good student, but for someone to say, oh, you need to take one thing at a time and you need to just relax, blah, 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 blah. And all I feel is like, honestly, I feel a little stupid. I'm like, I should be able to do this. I should be able to push myself through. I was a bit of a workhorse before it happened, and then.
So did somebody tell you that you had to come here today?
A bit of both. Like, my roommate and my roommates and I live in this like a townhouse, and my roommates and I, like, I've been talking about it with them, and the one who's actually doing I think a sociology degree or something like that, she told me, like, maybe you should go see someone. It sounds like you need help talking over it all. And so it wasn't necessarily forced, but like I felt like I should, and I feel like she would kind of keep asking me if I didn't. So
well, that's a real strength that you have, that, you know, amidst all of these demands that you have and different things that you're trying to juggle right now, I'm glad to see that you're taking the time to pause and just sort of take time for you and hit the reset button and figure it all out. So that's good that you're, you know, taking the time right now to just figure it all out instead of getting completely overwhelmed. It sounds like you're still swimming, even though it's a little bit difficult.
my head's just above the water.
We're playing basketball, I guess, not swimming. Yeah. So, you said that you had talked to somebody about the school component. Can you talk to me about that? Did they give you any strategies, or what have they said?
Kind of. She just told me to take one thing at a time, and to know that I'm not at a point where I need to do really well, and to accept that, and to accept the fact that I have to get one thing done and move on to the next thing. And it's kind of hard to accept that after being, like, you know, coming out of high school. I've been like a 90 student, and having like the first couple 60s come back and it being repetitive because I can't put 100% effort into it, or else I'm not going to finish.
Yeah. Well, you can try and think of it as your best is always going to be a moving target. So your best isn't always going to be the same thing. And so right now, your best, the best you can do on a paper is not going to be as good as a paper maybe that you've written in the past, but that doesn't mean that it's any less of your best job. You're doing what you can right now, and it sounds like you're working really hard to show your professors and show your coaches that you can do, you know, you want to meet the requirements. It sounds like you really are trying to go above and beyond the requirements, and you still care about getting good grades and all those, which are important and good, but it can be hard to accept a little bit less than what you've been used to all along, right?
Yeah, it is kind of hard. And it's hard too because there's comments my coach has made that makes me feel like maybe I shouldn't have told anyone about my concussion in the first place. He just, like, some of the comments have been like, oh, if this player and that player didn't had a concussion, I would never know about it. Like, I'm kind of weak for having one, and like it's my fault for having one. And yeah, he doesn't say it often, but like it happens there and there. So it's like I'm trying to fight it hard, but it's kind of hard not to internalize the fact that, oh, maybe it is my fault I have a concussion, and that's why I feel really slow. And then growing up and stuff, I've never been like a quick person. Like, I'm not like really fast.
Right.
But so I've worked really hard on foot speed and stuff like that in basketball, and I've worked really hard to not be the tall, slow person. So having this concussion is like going back into that, and I'm finding that really hard because people would call me slow and joke about it a lot, and it's a joke and I can take a lot, but there's a point where it's just like
it's discouraging.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is the first time we've met, but I'm guessing that you didn't just start playing basketball overnight, that you had to work up your skills and develop those in a lot of practice. And so if you've had to have a break for a certain amount of time because of this injury, then just remind yourself that it's going to take time. Maybe that would help, which I know is difficult when you feel like you don't have time, when everything needs to happen now. But have you had any other injuries in the past that have sort of, you've had to step back from the game for a bit?
Not really. The only other thing, like, I've had high ankle sprains and a bit of like some knee things, but I have 2 knees. I have braces for that. I've always played through like every injury. I've never really let it stop me.
Right.
My chiropractor knows that. He has a separate rule for me because I don't stop. So
yeah. So this is a new challenge for you. And with a concussion, it's a mental challenge, right? You've got some injuries there to your brain that you're working through. So it's a lot harder than you have to work with your sort of what you're telling yourself and your mental thoughts, right? So what do you think you could try telling yourself? You talked about when the coach tells you about being slow or not hearing about if another player had a concussion. So what do you think what are some phrases maybe that you could use to tell yourself when those comments are made? So let me get you started. Maybe it's not my fault, right? Like, do you think that you said that sometimes you think like, was it my fault that I got the concussion? But does anybody really blame you for getting a concussion?
No. So yeah, I guess I could say like, it's not my fault, and I think maybe just reiterate like, I am a good student. I am a good basketball player. And maybe reiterate those in my mind.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that you can try telling yourself too is when you think it's my fault, try instead maybe it feels like. So instead of saying it's my fault, if you say it feels like it's my fault, that's a little bit different. Do you see what I mean? The difference that it's different when it feels like it's your fault versus it is your fault. Because our feelings come and go, right? They're like the weather, and a little while later they'll change. So it's still important to recognize how you're feeling and to validate those thoughts and those emotions. And this is a really challenging, discouraging time for you, I'm sure. I can't imagine what it's like to be in your shoes right now, but it sounds like you're trying really hard to work through this obstacle, right? What about supports? Like, do you have other players on your team who are supportive? You mentioned a roommate earlier that she encouraged you to come in here. So, or family, who's supporting and encouraging you right now?
A lot of the time, it's some teammates.
Mhm.
There are some dynamics on my team that aren't great. And being at the college level, it's not just playing time, it's competitive playing time, and that plays out relationally as well. But a lot of the time it is I'm very close with my family, and that's kind of the hard thing, is feeling maybe a little homesick because I am a student from Saskatchewan, so it's kind of hard, you know. It's a little difficult sometimes because there's times where, I don't know, but like for me, I'm like, I just want a hug from my mom.
Yeah.
And it's like getting kind of past that moment where I don't have to feel like that anymore.
Yeah. And remind me again, what year are you in?
I'm in first year.
Okay, so it's a big year. You've had a lot of changes and adjustments, and try and remind yourself that you have been through a lot, and it's easy to get focused on all the things we're doing wrong and all the things we need to do. And so I'd encourage you, when you think of something that I have to do those 3 assignments, which is true, but maybe you can remind yourself too, I just finished an assignment. I got that assignment done, to sort of encourage yourself. Do you think that might help?
Yeah, like being a little more positive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do you keep like your homework and your tasks and things organized? Do you write it down on a calendar or agenda? What do you?
I'm a little, I'm kind of disorganized, but having to catch up on so much, I have a little whiteboard calendar that I write down when things are due, and I tend to check it off once I'm done.
That's good.
So maybe I can have more of like just get really happy when I check something off. I don't know.
Yeah, I find stickers encouraging, so...
Okay, I can do stickers.
Yeah, or if you just have some type of a reward that you tell yourself that you're going to treat yourself to when you finish a bigger assignment or a couple of assignments, that might help too.
Mm-hmm.
And Student Life offers some different workshops and things that help students to organize their assignments and their workloads and stuff. So perhaps you would find those helpful as well, accessing that resource and just hearing what they have to say about how you could organize the workload, right? And just break it down so that it's manageable.
Yeah, but like the problem for that is I practice usually, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Like that's the only really hard part for me is if I practice, I can't go, and I've saw a couple, but I can't miss practice at this point. I've missed too much already.
Yeah. Did you find the sessions helpful that you went to?
I haven't been able to go yet.
Oh, okay.
Because of practice.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. And how often do you have practice?
4 times a week. One morning practice.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost out of time, but we can. I don't know, when do you want to come back in next week or the week after? Do you think? I mean, you've got a pretty busy schedule, and I'm available to accommodate that.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe I can come back in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything like you can suggest I can do in the meantime?
Yeah. So I just want to sort of summarize what we've talked about, and so I see a lot of strengths in you, Larissa, and I mean, as I said already, I think just the fact that you're here and that you've taken the time when you have all these commitments and all of these things you're trying to balance and juggle, and the fact that you did take time for you, I think that's really important because you're still healing from this injury, and you've got a lot of different things going on, so it's good that you're taking time for yourself. And so I think that's a really big strength, and you made it this far, right? Like, you made it through your break in your recovery, and or the start of your recovery when you couldn't really do anything, and so that's commendable that was probably a really discouraging time, and so the fact that you've made it through there, and it sounds like you do have a lot of supports available to you. Mm-hmm. So my suggestions would be for you to work on developing or thinking about some phrases you can tell yourself when others are saying discouraging things to you. So when your coach is saying, you know, about the concussion, maybe just reminding yourself, this isn't my fault. This isn't my fault. Or also just realizing too, like, what are your feelings and making sure that you realize how important those feelings are, but that they're feelings and that will change, right?
Yeah.
So I think that would be my encouragement for you, and hopefully next time we can work on maybe some strategies for actually organizing your workload and that type of a thing. Does that sound like a good plan?
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
All right. It was nice to meet you.
It was nice to meet you. Thank you.
No problem. Glad I could help.